Do you feel frustrated that you seem to be attracting a lot of people to your audience who aren't actually action takers? They're not looking for someone to support them to get this problem solved and the goal achieved. They're still stuck in blaming other people or finding excuses, and they're just not necessarily the motivated, driven action takers that you were hoping to attract to your business. Well, if that's something that you're finding a little frustrating, then this episode of the Heart Centered Business Podcast is going to be super, super helpful for you. This is episode number 427, which means you can find all the relevant links and the show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/427. Let's dive in because I want to help you niche to the action takers. Hello, I'm Tash Corbin, a business strategist and mentor based on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. The mission of this podcast is to help heart-centered entrepreneurs to make more money and in doing so, change the world for the better. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Gubbi Gubbi and Jinnaburra people. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Okay, so in order to attract action takers, we first need to be very clear that this is part of your niche decisions, because your niche decisions are the foundations upon which you build your messaging, and your messaging is what attracts your audience. So in order to craft a message that attracts more action takers, we need to look at your niche through the lens of, are we specifically focused on action takers here? So when it comes to crafting your niche decisions, they are about who you're focused on when you are marketing. Generally, we have a layered approach to those decisions. So we look at your demographics. So are there relevant decisions in relation to niche around gender, age, parental status, relationship status, anything else that's relevant? Now, it's always only if it's relevant to your marketing decisions, but we generally have some demographic decisions. Then we have some psychographic decisions. So what is the goal that they are aiming towards? What is it that they stay up late worrying about when it comes to that goal? Or what's that little seed of an idea that they really, really want to take action on or they really want to work towards, right? So that's the psychographics. And then we have the sensographics. So in the sensographics, we generally focus on like, what is it that they can see, hear, taste, touch, right? So what their five senses are telling them that is in the way, the barrier to them achieving their goal. And generally that lives in the sensographics area, like it's actually a physical thing that's going on. Or it can also be psychographic. There's a mindset issue if they are self-aware that it is actually a mindset issue. So if you haven't done any niching with me before, in the show notes of today's episode, I will include a link to my Nail Your Niche training. And that's absolutely free. And you'll find that with the show notes at tashcorbin.com/427. So when we break it down in the Nail Your Niche training, what we do is we focus on gender, job status. So are they working for themselves, working for someone else, or not working? And then we focus on their priority goal. What is the goal that they are focused on achieving? And what is the barrier that they are saying is in front of them? That's the next barrier to them achieving that goal. So in that niche training, that's kind of how we break down in those different layers of demographics, psychographics, and sensographics. So if you have been focused on a niche, or whether that's through my niche training or you've been doing some specific messaging and trying to attract some people to your audience, then how do you make a shift in those niche decisions if you've noticed that you aren't necessarily attracting action takers? You're attracting people who are complaining, or you're attracting people who still seem to be in the dreaming mode, but they're not necessarily actually like focused on doing stuff with it. Well, the way that we do that is actually by updating the goal in your niche decisions to be an action-oriented goal. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here to demonstrate the difference. Let's say you are a business mentor and you help people who want to have 10K months. So in your niche decisions, the goal that you're helping people work towards is they want to have a $10,000 month in their business. Well, $10,000 a month in your business is a result, but it's not an action. So if I was going to update that niche goal to focus on the action takers, I would actually pick an action that people in that niche are focused on accomplishing that I could help them to accomplish. So it might be that they want to show up more consistently and effectively on social media. And they see that as the crucial action that's going to help them achieve their goal. Well, now I'm focused on an action. So the messaging that I craft speaking to that niche is going to be far more specific to action taking. And the offers that I share, the audience that I attract are going to be far more focused on action taking. Now, I'm also mindful that people generally aren't all in business to business and we're not all business mentors. So I want to give you a couple of other examples that are not in the business space. So let's say it's parenting. And the goal that you are focused on in your niche decisions is the goal is that they want to feel more connected to their children and confident in their parenting. Well, again, that's a feeling outcome. That's not an action. What is the action that people who have that goal are focused on achieving? So you might instead focus on people who want to spend more quality time with their children, or you might focus on people who want to help their children with their homework more consistently, right? So you're focused on actions appropriate to an age range or the work that you do, rather than being focused on an outcome or a result. Let's pick another one. Let's say you are in the menopause space and you want to help people to feel better through menopause. Again, that's a lovely outcome or result. They want to feel better through menopause. But there'll be lots of people who just whinge their way through menopause and never actually take any action. They're not actually interested in changing anything or doing anything differently. So instead, you might focus on people who want to make changes to the way that they eat to reduce menopause symptoms. Or you might focus on people who want to completely overhaul their lifestyle, right? They want to completely overhaul the way that they organize their day and the way that they've set up their lifestyle to now adapt to menopause and navigating menopause more joyfully. So simply by changing the niche goal to be an action-orientated goal rather than a result-orientated goal, the flow-on effect into your messaging, your marketing strategy, and therefore the people that you attract into your business will be that it is all oriented towards action takers. It has such a flow-on effect. Strong niche decisions build strong core messaging. Strong core messaging builds strong marketing strategy and great content. That great marketing strategy and content attracts the right people to your audience. So I've got a little choose your own adventure from here. If you've not done my niche training before, I would recommend that you go to the show notes of today's episode at tashcorbin.com/427 and grab my Nail Your Niche training and go through that with this new lens of action orientation when it comes to the goal that you're focused on. If you've already done that and you just want to adjust your niche decisions and you want to see then how that would impact your messaging, then I'll also put a link to my core messaging freebie with the show notes of today's episode. And I want you to fill in that core messaging template through this new lens and focus on this more specific niche that is focused on the action takers. So all of that will be for you at tashcorbin.com/427. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart Centered Business Podcast. And until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Bye for now.